Hello everybody, and welcome back to Robert's Reviews. And today, we are continuing our Leonardo DiCaprio series. For those of you who have been following along, our last movie that we reviewed with him was Gangs of New York, which was in 2002, and we skipped 2 years, so there's 2 years where Leonardo DiCaprio did nothing. A lot of that had to do with the fact that he was producing his production company and has been producing movies instead of acting in them. But also, I think taking a break after Gangs of New York was probably smart, particularly because he was still, as I mentioned in that one, kind of a man-child. But now we skip 2 years. We're in 2004, and we finally see the first ever Leonardo DiCaprio film that I truly believe was an older version of Leonardo DiCaprio who didn't seem like a teenager, and that movie is The Aviator. The Aviator was released in 2004. It was written by John Logan and directed by Martin Scorsese. For those of you who are curious, Martin Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio have done many films together, and this is the second film that they have done together, and it is the only film of theirs that has been rated PG-13. And for those of you who don't know what The Aviator is about, essentially what it's about is a young man named Howard Hughes, and he, in real life, this is based on true events, he is a producer for a film company, but he also is an aviator, which means he flies planes and he designs planes and he likes planes. So he is producing movies and filming and directing movies, but he's also still trying to run a plane company. And there's another company at the time, Pan Am, who is flying across the Atlantic and is like going everywhere, and he wants to be able to do that. And in the meantime, he's also designing these huge planes for U.S. governments, and he's designing carrier planes to go above the weather, which at the time was unheard of. And so we see all these battles with Howard Hughes and these other companies and money and issues. I have something stuck in my eye, but I don't know what it is. And it was really fun to watch. Before I talk about the movie itself, I do want to talk about how I watched this movie. I don't remember what the website was called. I believe it was Pluto TV. And I did research to make sure it was legal first, because I like to at least try to make sure that the way I watch my movies are legal. And it was legal, and it was free to watch on that platform. However, I would not at all recommend this platform for any reason ever. However, it was the only way I could watch the movie, because the only other option was to buy it on YouTube for $14. I wasn't able to rent it. I had to buy it. And I was not going to spend $15 on a movie to watch one time. So I ended up watching it on this platform. And I have a TV here. You can see the TV. This TV here. This is a big TV that I watch my movies on typically. And the internet stopped halfway through. But in order to watch this movie, you have to watch ads. And they're the same ads, and they're 3 minutes long. And they're very sporadic. They happen a lot. So I transported it on my computer. I was like, alright, you know what? I might as well just continue watching on my computer so I can refresh the page if my, internet goes down. But in order to catch up to where I was, I had to watch every ad that I'd already seen. This movie's 3 hours long. So I'd seen 20 minutes of ads. So I was really frustrated with the platform, and it didn't hinder the movie at all, because the movie was fantastic, but it hindered my time, and it hindered my life a little bit. So this has nothing to do with the film, but if you ever consider using Pluto TV, I would not recommend it. If you use it, good for you, that's totally fine. I just would not personally recommend it. So let's talk about the film a little bit. First of all, special effects. I didn't notice anything super bad about the special effects. They have a lot of planes, and if I had to guess, I'd assume a lot of the planes are models, tiny little models of planes. I could be wrong, but that's just what I visually saw. I do think that some of them were probably full CG. There's one in particular where we see, we're zooming in on the plane, and we zoom into his eyes in this one part. And we kind of go through the plate glass a little bit. And it's hard to tell, but I think that was full CGI. It might have also been a mini with a plate in it, but I could be wrong. In terms of directing and writing, so I was actually really impressed with the writing, and here's why. Mainly because they focused on his story, particularly this big plane crash that happened, but also they were able to integrate, stuttering is hard. They integrated his OCD and his stuttering and all that in the film, which I was really impressed with, because it's hard to do OCD in a movie. For those of you who don't know what OCD is, it's obsessive compulsive disorder. So that's when there's a lot of OCD, but like his in particular was like he didn't like germs, he didn't like other people touching his stuff, he needed an exact amount of peas on his plate. He hates germs with a passion, and later on in the movie, after his plane crash, his brain is even more wired, and he ends up repeating sentences over and over again, particularly like, just show me the blueprints, show me the blueprints, show me the blueprints. And he did that for like a minute straight. And it's with his battle to kind of control it so he can still be, a professional person. I really enjoyed how they did that. They did it in a way that wasn't cheesy and was able for us to understand. For those of us who don't really have OCD, like I like to keep things neat, but like I don't think it's compulsive. It was really interesting to see that side. I've always known people with OCD, but like it was really shocking to see it performed in such a way that like really hit me. Like it made sense to me, and I was able to understand exactly what was going on in his brain at the time. There's this one particular sequence that I was really interested in towards the end of the film, where he like locks himself in his own home theater, and there's just like, it's the grossest little place in the whole world, and he's so in his OCD that like it's bad. Like just watch the movie if you have an opportunity. It's fantastic. The ending was particularly good. I really enjoyed the ending. I don't want to spoil it too much for you, so I won't talk about it, but I really enjoyed the ending. Let's talk about the acting. So first we have Leonardo DiCaprio as Howard Hughes. As I mentioned in the beginning of the film, it was the first ever film that we got to see with him as like a full-blown adult, because even though he was an adult before in films, he always seemed really young. Like he could pass as a high school student easily until this movie. In this movie, he looks like an adult, and thank goodness for it, because this would have been really bad if he was a teenager looking. So I was really happy with that. But performance-wise, this might be his best performance to date. I really liked his performance a lot. Particularly the way that he was able to express his inner emotions without having to, like, talk about them. Like, I really, really enjoyed, particularly the last couple scenes where he's being, in the OCD, but he learns to, it seems like he almost learns to control it. His performance was really solid, really spectacular. I would recommend. This film was really, really good. I'm excited to see what we have coming up in terms of Leonardo DiCaprio films, because they are very, very good. Cate Blanchett as Katharine Hepburn. So, I don't really watch a lot of Cate Blanchett, and I'm not a huge fan, but in this I felt was really, really solid. So, they were able to make her seem so, like, soft, and, like, she talked in, like, such a good way, where it was, like, New England, and, like, also kind of British, and, like, it just felt smooth, and, like, she looked smooth, and it was just really, really flawless performance by Cate Blanchett. I really enjoyed it. I didn't think I was going to like it, particularly in the first scene, but then once, you got to know her character a bit more, I really started to really enjoy just watching her, and watching her go into her character a lot. It was really nice. Next, we have John C. Reilly as Noah Dietrich. So, for those of you who don't know, John C. Reilly is in, like, almost every Leonardo DiCaprio film. Like, not literally, but, like, he feels like it. I do like him as an actor, typically, but, like, in this one, I felt like maybe he wasn't his best performance. He did have more than he typically does in other films with him, so it was nice to see that he was being particularly more active in this film. But he played Noah Dietrich, who is, like, his financial advisor. And the whole film is him just advising him not to do the things he wants to do. Which is fine. I get we need a character like that, but it felt like a drag. And it never felt like he was truly on his side. And I feel like we needed more people on his side about it. And he just didn't really seem like a fantastic character. And I felt it could have been portrayed better. But I'm not really complaining about it. I think it was fine. He wasn't in the film enough for me to care particularly. And I don't think even necessarily the acting was lazy. More so, I think that maybe the writing didn't give him enough to do. Next, we have Alec Baldwin as Juan Tripp. So he owns the Pan Am flight company, and he's competing with Howard Hughes' company. And the main thing that I had about Alec Baldwin was I was a little distracted because I like Alec Baldwin, and I was really distracted by him being Alec Baldwin, but also kind of not being the same kind of character you typically expect Alec Baldwin to be in. It wasn't a bad performance, it just wasn't up to par with Leonardo DiCaprio. And the fact that we have them, face head to head, he didn't seem like a very worthy opponent. He didn't seem like a worthy adversary. I'm watching it and I'm like, I really wish we had a stronger Juan Tripp, because it never felt like he was winning. I like a bad guy where I can see that he's winning and he can take over at any point. But Leonardo DiCaprio, in terms of acting, was just way better than Alec Baldwin. But I feel like just putting anyone next to Leonardo DiCaprio is dangerous because he's flawless. Overall, in terms of acting, I think most of it was good. I think casting, I would have done casting a little differently. I don't know in what ways, but I feel like just some of the casting decisions were, like, okay. Like, Adam Scott was in the film, and, like, I love Adam Scott, don't get me wrong. But it just didn't feel like a film that he needed to be in. And, like, just like I thought, like Jude Law also didn't really need to be in the film. It kind of felt like they were just trying to push stars in there for no reason. We could have seen some other like new people that might have done better in these roles. But overall, I'm not complaining about it. I think it was fine. Excuse me, I'm still feeling a little under the weather today. But overall, I think the film was really good. It is very long. It's like 3 hours long. And there's a lot of side plots that they just didn't really need to go into, particularly about Howard Hughes' love life. We didn't really need all of that. Some of it was good. I enjoyed, like, Kate Blanchett, but he was also dating, like, 3 other people at the time, and some of them were really young. And I didn't really need all of that particularly. I think some of it would have been fine, but maybe it was a little bit too long. And I think some of the writing is a little lazy. It's not, like, wild lazy. But, like, just some of the characters I felt maybe deserved a little bit more light or a little bit more to do, particularly Noah Dietrich with John C. Reilly, and maybe casting Alec Baldwin somebody else, because I just felt like we needed someone who could do it stronger, you know? But overall, not too awful of a movie. I really, really enjoyed it. If anyone likes long movies that, like, doesn't have any action, but it's really nice plot-based and character-based and based on true story, I would recommend The Aviator. It's a lot of fun. And I'm going to go ahead and give this movie an A. That's going to do it for me today. This is, Tuesday. So tune in tomorrow for another Marvel Cinematic Universe review. We're going to be doing Luke Cage, Iron Fist Season 1. So make sure you guys are tuning into that. And as always, keep watching movies and television, stay educated, and I'll see you guys in the next video.